I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up, it's time to look.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Comment Riders. We're here to talk about Kamen Rider Geats, episode 49, the final episode of Kamen Rider Geats. I'm your host. My name is Josh Meek, the Uber Geek, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Toby Tobes. How's it going, Toby?
Josh, it's going great, but I do have a question for you.
Okay.
So, the second to last episode is the penultimate episode. We made the joke many times.
Yep.
So, why is the finale of shows never called the ultimate episode?
It is, yeah. You can call it the ultimate if you want.
No, but no one does. Like, I mean, I could, but then I'd be like the weird guy that calls the season finales the ultimate episodes. And if you think about it, like, a lot of shows don't end in a happy way, where you'd be like, wow, this was the ultimate episode. This was so great. You're like, wow,
Yeah.
Walt died. This is kind of a bummer.
This is one of those, dang, big, massive spoiler for Breaking Bad.
I'm rewatching it for like the fourth time right now. That's why I did it.
Although if you started that show and you don't assume that Walt dies at the end, you're kind of a dummy, because that's just clearly what's going to happen.
He always gets away with it. He's smarter than everybody other than himself.
Yep, that's true. That's true. I think that, so one, multiple definitions of words exist. So some words mean two things, and in this case, ultimate can mean like the best one, the greatest one, the my most favorite, or it can literally just mean last, which are the two definitions of ultimate.
Wait, is that really one of the
like last or final? Like that's like ultimate in the sense of like penultimate, then ultimate. That's more in the sense of just the final one. But ultimate, like you're saying, like this is the ultimate episode, is more in the definition of like this is awesome.
Yeah, it all sounds pretty shady to me. Words and English in general are kind of bullshit. Let's be honest.
Oh, English is the worst language. Yeah, it's one of the worst in terms of learning it, in terms of like understanding it making any sense. Just listen, everything's made up and the points don't matter when it comes to English. But the other
it's a very
thing,
powerful language.
That's true. That's true. I feel like in other things, like we would use ultimate more often, but in TV shows we don't, because we have the word finale that you mentioned. Like finale is the thing that people typically call the end of a season or the end of a series, which is why you don't hear like the ultimate as much. But I feel like it's still a thing. If you said, especially if you said it in the context of like the penultimate and then the ultimate, that would make sense to people. It would at least make sense to me.
That's all that matters. You know what? And all things considered, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, exactly. If you and I understand what we're talking about, then it let's ignore the fact that we're recording this for a podcast and hoping other people listen. As long as you and I get it, then it's all.
That just means that it's evergreen for us when we listen back years down the road. We'll be like, hey, this made sense then. This makes sense now.
Which really, if you think about it, that's been the most useful thing about our podcasting, I think, is just making you and me laugh like years later. So that's been the thing we've enjoyed the most about it. Toby, I don't want to get off on a lot of tangents today.
We have business to take care of. I have things to yell about or get worked up about or whatever I'm going to do. We'll see when we get there.
Yeah. So I think I want to like not read emails yet, because some of our email stuff is about like Geets overall as a series. And I have some thoughts about Geets overall as a series as well. So I kind of want to save those things a little bit towards the end. But I think I want to start the episode here just talking about episode 49. Like obviously a lot of it's going to tie up into like how the storyline's complete and stuff. But like let's a little bit focus on episode 49, and then we can focus on like the ending and like the overall series. So
let's do it that way.
Let's do it. And we don't need to go like beat by beat with what happens in 49, but it's a weird episode, I think, to talk about. I think you pointed it out last week of just like you predicted the final episode. We would watch it and go like, oh yeah, okay, and that's pretty much exactly how I felt here. So the episode opens where like seemingly everyone has like forgotten about Geets, and or like the world has like reset itself back to the beginning because Kwat and Sarah are eating soba together. Neon is doing a live stream. Buff is back doing construction. Like everyone's sort of like reset themselves back to their like original states.
That's the
um,
way that I took it, because I was trying to figure out if, well, I don't even do beat by beat. So it starts with the gunshot again.
yep. Yeah. You get to
So
revisit the gunshot.
you hear the gunshot, and then I wasn't sure if it was actually like recaps of the things we saw in the first episode or two, because it's been so long for us now, at least.
Yeah.
Or if it was brand new things that feel like before the series, the first couple episodes.
I wondered the same thing. Yeah. Like and this is why it was this is kind of my favorite part of the episode, because like especially the opening here, where you don't really know what happens, and then like they sort of tell the story in flashback throughout this episode, which is kind of interesting. It's like people remembering the final battle to remember how it went. But this opening bit before the first flashback, where we just came off like literally Sumi shot Ace and we don't know why, and then it just is like everything's back to the beginning and we don't know what's going on, and like later like Jean's at a temple like praying to Ace and Sumi's there as well. Like, what is happening? But that whole intro, I think, was my favorite part of the episode, because it felt so like dreamy and otherworldly, and like I didn't know what was going on, and it was so off of what I expected to have happening at the beginning of this episode. But I took it in the exact same way as you, where it was like, oh, are they like either recapping where everyone was at the beginning, like a super super flashback, or the other thing that I thought was, which I guess is kind of what it ended up being, was like the world's reset and everyone has like just forgotten, like their memory has been wiped, which isn't 100% true. But like kind of is true. um, but it was certainly interesting that they were all like, I guess their ideal happiness is back to kind of normal, just back to life, just eating soba, live streaming.
The huge.
Yeah.
Back to the huge.
And then we do, of course, find out what happened with the gunshot, which it's kind of what I predicted last time, but it also feels like a little bit of a cop out, where basically Dark Sumi just like entered Sumi's body and took her over and controlled her in order to shoot Ace.
And so, like, kind of tied to, like, in general, I forget the order of some conversations we have. So for a lot of the things, I didn't remember who made the guess first of things that were going to happen.
Uh-huh.
For this one, I distinctly remember, since we saw Dark Sumi in the lounge, I thought she just stole normal Sumi's clothes.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this was actually like a split personality. All of a sudden, she lost control of her own body, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like a body snatchers type of situation. Which, like, I don't know. It's not a huge like plot point, really. I wish they would have shown us that, like, she had that ability at least one other time or something. Like,
well, thinking back, I mean, Dark Sumi was made out of Light Sumi.
Yeah, I guess they did like split her to make that, right? Like, essentially.
So I guess that makes sense.
You took her tear.
Yeah, we never knew that she could merge back into her if she wanted to, which was AKA hence why she was creeping around the lounge. But
yeah,
they didn't set that up. Well, I mean, I guess it makes it a better surprise then. But again, fast and loose with rules of how things work.
That was kind of the theme of this episode, really. I'm just like, and it kind of had been for a little bit of just like, I don't know, like we're just sort of steering things in the direction we wanted to go, and yeah, like you said, playing very loose with the rules, and this was 100% that. So yeah, like, okay, Sumi goes inside, or Dark Sumi goes inside Sumi, sure, whatever. The next part that was very fast and loose for me, we get another flashback basically where Sweru is essentially fighting Neon, Kawa, and Buffa, and they're all talking about wishes, like they're kind of doing the thesis statement for the show, that like your wishes and your hopes and your dreams are what pushes humanity forward, makes you human, and all this stuff, right? And then Sweru turns back time like he did with Geets. And the way that he explains it is that he says that he turned back time, just focused on them, back to a time before they were Kamen Riders. So they don't have their drivers anymore. So they dehension. But they still know each other and remember being riders and know who Sweru is and know who Ace is. So the only thing that changed was that they just lost their drivers. I thought that was maybe the dumbest point of the show. Just like they could have explained that in so many other ways, but the fact that it was like I turned back time instantly made it like, well, that's not how that works. Even if we're just isolating like on you guys, that's not how this would work.
So like obviously like there's little fights here and there that we don't really need to address other than there's little fights here and there. In general, the perk of when they were still riders and fighting is he made them rider kick each other because he was steering them basically.
That was so freaking cool.
And that was cool. And then Buffa came charging through a cement wall and slammed through and was like, "We can beat you if we try." And I thought that was pretty dope. That like Buffa got the best entrance ever of just slamming through a wall to appear out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was freaking awesome. Yeah, I'd forgotten about the rider kick, the speed up time for myself and point you at each other so you rider kick each other was great. And I think the follow up to that was really good too. It was like I think it was maybe Kawa or somebody. So there was someone who was just like, "What the heck happened?" Like super incredulous about it, which was hilarious. Yeah, that was one of the coolest like Neo in the Matrix moments that Sweru had pulled up to that point. He done some pretty cool stuff, but I think that was probably the coolest. But they of course lose all their drivers, and they all kind of wish for Ace, and then he appears basically.
They all hang on an armored man who just kicked lightning bolts at them and is trying to murder them. And these three young children with no armor and no powers hang on this giant robot suited man. And what could be one of the dumbest things ever.
You know, they're still heroes even without a driver. They had to prove that one last time.
Exactly.
But then our hero Ace shows up. He's a god now, literally.
So this was one of my first moments.
Yeah.
Mainly because, if not before I get to my bulleted list later, Geets did one last time.
Yeah.
Where like it was all just okay. He apparently was waiting for the gunshot in the head so he could become God. Like that was his plan. So that was kind of
they try to explain it away too. Like throughout this episode. Like he gets shot, he appears to Sumi kind of in a vision and kind of tells her like, "No, I was ready for it. I was expecting it. It's all good. Come on." And then later he explains like, "Yeah, I'd had this plan to become a god. Since I made the promise to my mom." I was like, "Okay, but how?" Like what does that all mean? Yeah, it was again very hand wavy. It clearly was like the direction that things were going, like, but it was a little bit like, okay, well, I guess yeah, you're right. He just geetsed it. Here we are. He's back.
Our final trust last was dropped in this super late opening song drop, but if it was about time. It felt like a good time to do it.
It did, yeah, I think so. I like that he like he granted their wishes to be riders again. That was a cool moment. Kind of like waves his fingers and everybody gets their drivers back. And
well, not even that. Like he was like, it was basically a Tinkerbell move where it's like everyone clap your hands and wish, and Tinkerbell will come back from Peter Pan.
Yep.
But he was like, "Hey guys, what's your wishes? I can do this for you."
He did, yeah. That was totally the vibe.
And Buffa says, "You don't need us to say it, you know." And like, at least before the buckles all came back and shit, I took that as it's either Geets remembers their actual wishes from the cards, and he's gonna start granting those, or obviously we're all gonna go back and be riders now thing. So of course the actual answer was we're gonna go be riders so we can.
Yeah, in that moment for sure was yes, make us writers because we want to solve this. I think Geets maybe even said like I assume I know your wishes or something. There was some like line that was essentially like Like, I think I can guess what you're wishing for, right? Like, which is good. The fight with everybody was cool. Um, it was cathartic to have everybody there working together. Like, I know we'd been building to that, and everybody was friends again. But it was cool because we'd gone through a lot of like one of them being sad, or one of them being evil, or one of them being really evil. And
Well,
so it was nice to
even
have
with that, like my note during this was, I think this is the first time that the four of them were actually on the same team at the same time. Like, yes, it's all the same kids from the beginning, but they were, like you just said, like all their friends were together, but
Yeah.
they weren't really friends in the beginning. Like Buffo was always
That's
against them
true.
in theory. So I think this was the actual time, like the whole core group was actually same page, same vibe, same everything. And then
Yeah,
it
'cause
worked. Oh, go ahead.
the time when like Neon, Kawa, and Ace were the closest was when Buffo was like super evil.
The
So
farthest away,
yeah.
slowly possibly turning zombie at that point, but I don't remember at this point anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think you're probably right. Like, this is definitely the most like everybody's working together. We're all on the same page. This is maybe the first time that's ever happened. Which
And the
is
cool part
very
of
cool.
that was like like seeing everyone, all the colors and shit flash around together, and actually all that stuff. But they were all, I guess I'll call it, prompting each other's powers. Where like Kawa jumped over Buffa and revved the chainsaw for him to do poison charge, and then they
Yeah.
all did poison charge, and then at one point Neon does flame riff or whatever however her guitar stuff works, I don't remember anymore, and then they all have flames to shoot. So it
Well,
was like it was truly like a Secret of Mana. They had all the tri-X moves where everyone, with the proper party, everyone could do moves together. I actually like
that's
super enjoy the fact that they actually, the friendship thing, like the power of three, like Kingdom Hearts. They all used their powers together and did awesome team stuff.
totally. Yeah. The fire one was especially cool because it was like if I remember it was right, it was her, but like whoever had the flame first like lit everyone else's thing very quickly. So
Yeah,
then they all yeah.
she did the guitar riff thing. So the guitar lit, and then she kind of like swiped it in a way that like they both like passing a candle flame
Yep.
almost, like
Yep.
same vibe.
No, that's a totally good point. Yeah, it's so cool seeing that like yeah, like having the team up attacks. It's just like an RPG, like you're saying, of like we've maxed out our friendship scale, so now we get to do the cool attack together. um, which is very fun and satisfying after 49 episodes of this. Yeah, felt very very good. Then of course, this fight ends, and we get a very weird moment where Ace essentially explodes Sweru from the inside out. Like,
and then becomes Sweru kind of.
and then like sort of becomes him. Yeah, like he's wearing his clothes. I didn't really know what to think about that episode. I have seen or that portion of the episode. I have seen a lot of people confused about that. I saw there was a thread on X on former Twitter I saw where someone was trying to explain it and didn't really explain it in any meaningful way, and everyone seemed very confused. So I was happy to know everyone was on the same page about that. But I think he was just killing him, and they were just doing it dramatically.
Much well, like we said, like the Matrix when Neo jumps inside Agent Smith and blows him up. This was
That
the
was
same thing.
that was literally one of the replies. Was like he got Agent Smith. Like, okay, yeah, I agree with that one. Then of course our new world starts. That's kind of the big switch that gets flipped. God Ace explains that happiness is not capped anymore. They're not taking someone else's happiness away when they get happier.
You just do
Basically,
your shit. Everyone be happy.
Yep, everyone should just focus on living their dreams and work on attaining the happiness that they want to achieve. And then we get just like the cutest list of like wishes/dreams that everyone is living.
All right,
I loved it.
okay, so I'm gonna call it, slow it down for a second here,
Okay,
because this time we're gonna break down like each little step, we'll call it.
I'm excited.
Okay, so the first step would be Jean and Sumi at the little Geets
At the
prayer
shrine, the
statue.
memorial.
Yeah, shrine. Yeah, there we go. So they both smile and they nod and like, we're never going to forget Geets. Everyone else, in theory, doesn't remember, but we're never going to forget him. And we hope everyone's wishes come true. So then they start playing a new song we've never heard before, which is like the happy closer anime song.
Totally. It's exactly what it was. Yep.
All right, so the first piece of this was the Giamoto become happy flower monsters, which I did not see them staying at all.
Yeah, he wants like human Giamato like coexistence. That was
Right.
Daiichi's wish.
Yeah, Pidgey's wish was we want them to live in peace together, which
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense. Like they were factory made, and I guess they're a thing. But the fact that there's like happy flower monsters living in the world seems like a weird one to me.
Well, we can't take their happiness away.
I guess that's true. That is fair. Punk Jack sits on a rooftop like a true rock star. He yells, "Punk is life," because he's on the cover of the magazine. And of course, his wish was I want to be a punk star or a rock star, whatever you want to call
Yeah, he's got a new band going.
it.
I know we've seen it before with Punk Jack when he first joined the DGP, but I just love the idea that he's just got his guitar strapped on and he's sitting on a rooftop. Like there's no amp nearby. There's no reason for him to have this instrument, but he's got the guitar ready.
Oh, and the one thing I forgot to say, so at the Geets shrine, instead of the DGP wish cards, they hang them on, like it looks like little wooden placards that has Geets' face on the back, like the fox helmet face thing. So like in general, I thought that part was super charming. Of like that's kind of cool. They hang their wishes at his shrine now,
Totally.
and everyone still gets to do their things.
Which is that's like a really like Japanese culture thing. So
right. So it was actually like tied into.
Yeah, it was really neat. Yeah, because if you're not aware, and you the audience, I know you are. Like throughout Japan, like there are little shrines everywhere across the country, and like in Tokyo, for example, there will be like little shrines tucked within alleyways and stuff like that. And yeah, you can go pray at any of them, and typically there will be things just like this where you can like write your prayer or your wish or whatever on paper or on something and like stick it somewhere in the shrine or hang it somewhere in the shrine, so that it comes true. So yes, exactly. Ace's God, and we were praying to him at his shrine.
Buffa's was both my favorite and most emotional somehow of all the ones.
Okay.
Buffa wished for, "I want to eat delicious beef," which on the surface, face level, whatever, seems very stupid and plain and meaningless that he just wants food. But when they show Buffa's wish, it actually means he has a family and friends and is hanging out and is like actually happy for once.
Yeah.
And that part I thought was actually like the best part of the ending. I was like, this is fucking adorable.
I think his was really meaningful because when we first see him doing construction, one of his construction worker friends is like, or construction worker acquaintances, I guess at that point, it was like, "Hey, you want to get some food after this?" And he like stops and thinks about it for a second, and then he gets this big smile on his face, and he's like, "Yeah, that'd be great." he's like so happy to like have a friend and stuff. And yeah, I took this one as like, because it was such like a mundane thing, like yeah, just like he's happy. He was driven by revenge before, and that was like this indication that like, okay, he's at peace. Like he's
It's settled.
He's good. It's settled. He's going back to his real life, and he's found happiness with all these friends. And like, yeah, he wants to be surrounded by friends and family. That's what he learned along the way in the DGP and stuff. That was, yeah, I agree. I think that was like the most impactful and the cutest and most adorable thing was like, oh yeah, just hanging out with your friends, eating some good beef.
And the part that didn't make sense was he said, "I'm cattle. I love good beef." But if anything, like, I know it's to tie back to like, "Ha ha ha, I'm a buffalo," but no one knows, or like that kind of thing. But it doesn't make sense to me.
That might be the actual like translation. I'm not sure which one you grabbed. The one that I watched, the translation for that was, "It must be the buffalo in me that makes me so hungry," or something like that. Like
that makes 20 times more sense.
Yeah. So I think it was just a poor translation.
I want you to know that Anon fucked us on the last episode then, or at least me.
I downloaded two of them. I downloaded Anon second, because I downloaded two because I wanted to confirm something, which we'll talk about in a second.
Okay.
Uh, but I didn't watch through all the second one, but I watched a couple spots, and yeah, some of the translations are like radically different between the
Okay.
two versions I watched.
And then Sarah's was Pure Sarah, where she wished for like 1,000 wishes.
Yeah.
And all of them were like, I mean, they're all nice. It was like, I want to go shopping with Neon. I want us to be friends forever. I want Kayla to go to school and be a genius. I want to have good food today. I want to go shopping later. I want to get my own place. Like hers was Sarah vibes. One of them, so the at least for my sub thing, the wishes are she wishes for a smaller face, master the stray cat dance, which I'll show is Neon's, trip abroad, go shopping with Neon, raise like work, to be as good a cook as Kayla, a piece of life every day, and to be Neon Chan's fan forever, which doesn't seem like you need a wish for. Glossy skin for Kayla to be happy every day, to write more wishes, to be good at cleaning too, and to lose 5 kilos.
To lose 5 kilos. I think they the one I watched, I think they translated the one as like a larger thing to write wishes on. Like she like had run out of space.
Yeah, like it's the bottom like small writing is where it
Yeah.
says to write more wishes. So Sarah got
That's
a lot
great.
crazy with hers, but that's fine. The most offensive one to me is the one
Ugh,
that's coming up.
I'm so upset
Uh,
about this.
so Neon wished for a prince on a white horse, which is basically the same wish in the beginning. But of course, the prince on the white horse is her stupid dickhead supporter. They make tee-hee-hee jokes about, if you want to tell me how charming I am, write it on cards or write letters to me. I found this very offensive because he wants to be Neon's producer, was basically the gist of this. But the fact that he got to come back and her
Yep.
actual closing last moment is the stupid idiot guy is now her quote unquote producer, aka boyfriend, I'm sure,
I
was
hated it
like
so
the most
much.
disingenuous of all of them.
And he's a dick to her. In that scene, he's a dick to her. Like it's supposed to be like, yeah, we're this cute thing, but he's like she does her thing or whatever. She does her dancing. I can't remember exactly. And then he's like, no, that's not what you would do. Like he like is correcting her, and yeah, like you said, wants to be your producer and like tell her about her content. I was like, bro, she's famous, not you. uh
So hers was the worst.
yeah, I was so sad because like she had a cool ending, and I thought that the arc of you're seeking love, you think it's romantic love, but really you're pining for the love of your family was
Yeah, we
such a
saw this.
cool arc of hers. And
We
then
saw this episode weeks ago. You and I said she got
exactly.
her wish. It's just a different wish, and apparently
And
it
then it's
wasn't.
like, oh no, fuck you. You wanna bang future guy actually instead. It's just the worst. Yeah. They did Neon so dirty. This for real.
Yeah. So Kwas, of course, is just plain ass world peace. His result of that is he looks to be studying books or writing papers as he does. He still has his little buckle with
Yep.
his little tanuki on it, or tycoon, I guess we'll call him. He looks to it for motivations like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'll do my best, which I guess is the K-Law ending. And I guess there's not really a good way to show him getting world peace as an ending, but this is
See,
a start.
I thought this was awesome as his world peace wrap up because in the beginning he wanted world peace and he literally would do nothing to achieve it, right? Like he became a Kamen Rider and wouldn't lift a finger to do anything to achieve world peace. And now at the end he wants the same thing. He's still the plucky hero he's always been, but he's embarking on a path to actually achieve it. Like clearly he's studying, I don't know what it might be, to like become a politician or maybe to, like to get in some field where he's going to solve world hunger. Who knows what it is? But like he's clearly putting in work to solve the world peace thing
That's fair.
instead of like just sitting on his hands hoping it happens, which I thought was very cool. That might be me reading too much into what they were trying to say, but I liked that he actually was like doing something about it.
So then Geets reads all their wishes. He's in human god form at his shrine, I guess we'll call it. It's how he reads the wishes. He comes down in his little suit and outfit and tux and all that, and he says, I'm sure they'll all come true, everybody, as long as you keep wishing. With his little smile and a nod. And he says, this world and its people can all be happy. He still has this fancy little coin. He flips it in the air, and we'll call it a show. But
He
there's
got the coin back from Gene because Gene had the coin at the beginning.
yes, I think he
Which
left. I think he left it at the shrine.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool touch.
So we get the final title card, the final DGP rule, where everyone can make their own wishes and be happy, and a big happy moment.
Uh-huh.
And then I was told by multiple people, watch past the credits this time.
Yep.
Because there's no future show thing. There's no future like spoilers anymore. Like the other ones we skip, like the previews.
Correct.
But
just waiting for the shoe to drop here.
There's this random kid
Yep.
screaming, Hopper, 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 where are you?
Yeah.
Chasing a trading card of a grasshopper.
Yep.
That looks like a video game thing.
Sure.
Geets gives him a little smirk and a nod. He says, I pray for your happiness. My first question to you, because I've watched no spoilers.
You haven't watched anything? Okay, go ahead.
No, like I told you, like I'm going into this as fresh as humanly possible.
Okay.
So I would have to assume,
yep,
that this is the lead into Gotchard.
That is correct.
That was either the Gotchard kid or the Gotchard vibe. But it's one of the stupid cards from the show that is going to tie into the thing, right?
Yeah, that is the Gotchard lead. So this was your if you're not watching any trailers or anything, this is your first series intro to seeing that kid. Yeah.
Okay. So yes. So this is the first time I saw Gotchard.
Congratulations. Yeah, so he's a nerdy high school kid. He wears dumb pants.
He has like ska pants. You should like those.
He does have ska pants, yeah. That makes me like him a little bit more, but not much. And we got the X-Aid slapstick hit yourself in the head thing too. Did you notice that? Like,
I didn't think about that. I was too busy going back and forth with, is this him? This is probably him. This has to be like the tie-in to what's about to happen here.
Yep. Yeah, so you got your little preview. So I learned some things from that little preview window. One, the X-Aid head slap thing was like, oh, this is going to be a little bit of a slapsticky show, unlike we have now. And then two, that the cards have a mind of their own. I didn't realize that, I guess, or didn't remember that if I saw it in the trailer before. But like the fact that he's like chasing the card, which is like bouncing away from him and like fighting back and stuff, was like, okay, all right, I gotta get ready for that, I guess. Because he's not just gonna have a whole deck of cards he just pulls out and uses whatever he wants. They're gonna have thoughts and ideals.
It's Pokemon-y kind of then.
Like a little bit, except like, yeah. I think the lore is that they're like trapping monsters in the cards, but then I guess the monsters can still make the cards move around and stuff. So
I guess
it is very Pokemon. Yeah, we'll see next week. Yeah.
So, with 10 minutes to go before the recording, was there anything else you missed? Is there anything that you missed for your little closing of the episode itself? Because here comes Toby's moment, I guess we're gonna call
it. Let me check and see. I think that pretty much covers it. Yeah, I think I was most bummed about Neon's little ending thing, but I liked in general, I liked the like everyone gets a little moment, gets a little wish thing. I thought that was cool. And then the everyone got like like a little wrap up happy ending. It was like the weirdest, like the sweetest possible ending for everyone, which was cute. And Ace becoming a god just definitely felt like the direction that we were headed. So I think that all makes sense. But no, I think we hit it all. So yeah, take it away.
Okay, so I'm going to preface part of this as when we close most episodes, you at least do me the favor of saying, Toby, what do you think? I give my speech, and then you agree, confirm, add things, whatever.
Okay.
So half of this is the parts I could find of where I was saying something and kind of cherry picking some receipts here. And the other half of this is conversations with Discord Navigator about what I thought was going on in the show at the same time. So this is my recap of a chunk of the past couple weeks and a very long time ago in Geets World.
Okay.
So I'm going to go in reverse time order. So from the most newest conversations to the oldest ones.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is just conversational. You'll need to have responses or however you want to do this is fine.
Okay.
So August 22nd would have been the day after we recorded episode 48. We're joking around about the last episode because neither of us knew what was going to happen. I said, what if the last episode of Geets has Kayla meeting some nerdy card collector friend in the soba restaurant, or Kayla buys a pack of trading cards, little nods to Gotchard.
Yeah, it's kind of close. Yeah.
The ending of episode 48, when you asked me the usual question, I said, Geets becomes the fox god in the sky. Everyone else lives. Geets can die in theory and doesn't affect everyone else because they're all normal humans with normal lives, and Geets has been presented as a god the whole time.
Spot on. Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm adding some extra words. I just typed quickly what I was hearing myself say.
Yeah.
Episode 47. I think the last couple minutes of the last episode, the DGP becomes a fun thing where happy people play to have fun. I can't imagine the ending being no more games, just no more bad end games, and no more people taking things from each other.
So that's something we didn't touch on, but they say that in the show in 49, because Gene is like, hey, Sumi, I'm thinking of starting the DGP back up, but everybody's going to play it and have fun. And you want to join? And she's like, yeah, sure. Yeah. So that literally happens.
So those are two of the verbal ones. This is during episode 46-ish gap. Again, Discord messages. I'm basically typed the fact in the same episode, Jit or Jit or whatever, showed I can speedrun Geets into becoming a statue. Kecker's thing was, hey, Geets, fuck you, grant Kaywa's wish and die faster, and yet somehow, in a mere 10 minutes, Geets said, yeah, I care about none of this, I was resting, and killed Jit is way too much Geets is God stuff. Episode 45, what's the final fight? If Kaywa is remotely back and thinks Geets is right, they're all going to wish together for the victory. All of the friends versus Dark Geets, which we still thought might be a thing, versus the producer guy. There's no final fight other than all the friends versus the producer. And they also all wish together.
Yep,
100%. Back in March, which would have been episode 23 and 26.
That's way back. Okay, yeah.
I searched for two keywords, Geets and God. That's where this is on.
Perfect.
So twice in March. One was, I'm very lost in what Geets is doing with all the crazy buckle stuff, which would have been when he started probably transforming a bunch, like all of his mark forms or some of them.
Yep. Yeah.
I said, I have no idea what any of this means other than I'm going back to Geets is God or Jesus.
Yeah, because you and me were on that train very early because when he mentioned he was like 2,000 years old, we instantly both went to like, okay, he's Jesus. Got it. Okay.
And that's why for some, like, you always give me the honor of going first. So like, even if you think the same thing, like, it's easier for me to find where I was talking because I'm always the first come for this conversation. And then on episode 23-ish, I said, I've laid the foundation in Josh's brain that Geets is now God or Jesus. His mom is the goddess, and that lady is a demon, which probably would have meant Peroba.
I like that you're like, I've now laid the foundation for
so I'm going to say
planted.
In episode 23 or 22 at some point in one of our conversations, I feel like we might have still been going back and forth on at that point. And that might have been the first time the conversation with us in general came up of Geets being a god at the end and his mom being the goddess.
I think so. Yeah.
So 22 or 23 episodes into 50, we, in theory, solved the ending back at that point. And like in the past 2 or 3 weeks, I locked down a bunch of the other ending stuff somehow.
Definitely.
But that seemed more obvious as we were leading into the things.
Well, I think, I mean, I think that as twisty and turny as the show was week to week, it was almost impossible to predict the next twist sometimes in the show. I think that they have gone down the Geets is becoming a god arc pretty clearly for at least, I'll say,
half the show, probably.
Yeah, about half the show. Like, by the time you realize his mom is the goddess, that's when it really starts to like, okay, so if his mom's the goddess, then you find out about his reincarnation stuff, and then now later in the show, he literally becomes a god and has all these creation powers, and becomes like super white hair Geets at some point, goes Super Saiyan. It seems like the only way out is full godhood. Yeah, full on ascension. But yeah, I think calling some of the other, like, everybody gets together, fights the bad guy, and then wishes together for Ace is pretty spot on too. That's great.
But yeah, like I said, like, I just happened to think of it because, like, in the last episode when he was like, because he literally said like, I am God, and I was like, motherfucker, we've been saying this forever. So I finished with enough time where I was like, I want to try to get a pinpoint of how long we've been saying this. And I really think it goes back to March.
Yeah,
which would have
that's a
been
long
like,
ways back.
right. Because I was trying to figure out how long the show was on too. So like March to me seems like, oh, like the show probably started in March, ending in August, late August-ish. But like, no, like in March, we were already like 6 months into the show somehow.
Yeah, for sure. And then the other thing is then Ace becoming God. The other thing that happened in the little tag after the rule card pops up is they pan up to the sky, and in the sky words appear that says Ace with us. Like God with you. Like the show really leans into Ace being a god in that hilarious way at the end, like Ace with us. So the first file that I downloaded and watched, I would have sworn on my life that the translator added that as a joke. So that's why I downloaded the second file to confirm, and it was also there.
Okay.
So I was like, oh my God, that's actually in the show. It's amazing. Ace with us. I hope in that world, like instead of saying God, like
Ace
God
bless you.
damn it, yeah, like, yeah. I hope it's Ace bless you. I hope it's Ace damn it. I hope it's just Ace for everything.
I mean, Buffett says like Ace damn it all the time. It's just a little bit different.
That's true. Well, yeah, Toby, congratulations on steering us in this direction and predicting everything for the past 6 months.
I don't know about that, but from us talking all these things out, because more so like I don't think about most of the things after I watch the episode. I don't think of most of the things that I come up with that I tell you at the end of the episode when we talk about it. Like you and I talking through things for the 30 minutes helps my brain start actually working. And then it starts clicking into, well, what kind of pass do we get here? So it's a team effort. I might have just said it first.
100% my brain works the same way. Where like, I don't, like if I'm watching a TV show just like by myself, I don't do this where like the whole like, figure out the ending, try to plot out like where things go. Like I don't really think through that much, but yeah, you and me talking through it starts those wheels turning in my brain too. So it would be interesting, which we're doing this some in our like our watch and react on the Patreon too. It would be interesting you and me just like watching like a random show and seeing if we could like predict the ending beat for beat. If we also then like talk about it afterwards every time we watch an episode. Because yeah, I think for sure same thing. I'm just like, okay, yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Okay, yeah.
Because I mean, there's been tons of times where like I would ask you a question about something and you'd be like, well, no, it's not X, it's Y. And then like I would sit here like silence for a second and go, oh shit, well, if it's Y, that means Z is going to happen. And I think that's where a lot of these things actually came from.
Yeah.
Was like me being confused about One Piece, you kicking me down the road and me going, oh shit, I'm going to take off now. And like,
right on. So that was episode 49. So let's talk about our thoughts of the series overall.
So
not just 49, but yeah, the whole thing. What'd you think?
It's a weird thing for me now because whenever I rank the seasons that we've watched, and granted, I've watched way more than a lot of people have. Navigator has been doing a bunch of seasons rapid fire, like something following along with us for some other ones. But like my first two were Geets and Black Sun. So I don't put these in the same tier because it's not the same type of show.
They're very, you're radically different. You can't really compare.
So
also,
then,
just like length too, right? Like Black Sun was just like 12 episodes or whatever. 12 or 10? It's 12, I think.
Black Sun was 10.
10. Oh, okay, 10. Yeah, like super minimal. Which also like we were with these Geets characters for a year essentially,
right?
But anyway.
So like those two I didn't really put next to each other. And then we started watching X-Aid. And for the past couple weeks, I've liked X-Aid more than I've liked Geets. Because we like whenever we had the conversation of like when I said I kind of want Geets to wrap up because I'm kind of over it.
Yeah.
Like Geets hit a weird, like just mellow plateau point where I was like, I'm okay with this ending now. I'd like this to go forward. So I think X-Aid I like better than Geets, not having finished X-Aid yet. But along those lines, like I feel like Geets, it's either a very nice entry point into Kamen Rider, or all your first Kamen Rider seasons are just a nice base level for you, and you just judge everything off of that one.
Yeah.
And I'm torn on what I'm doing, but it's funny because whenever Navigator and I talk about it, they watch like 6 or 7 of them so far, and every time they start watching a new one, Geets has moved down in the rankings. And not that Geets is a worse show than like X8 or Kuga or I think Forze and something else so far, but like everything else has like weird, fun, I guess, quirks or things that catch you or things along those lines. Where like Geets at the base level is not as exciting as the other shows are, but it's not an insult to Geets or that Geets is a bad show. Is my summary, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I think to your point, like everyone's first Kamen Rider, I think is like will always hold like a special place, right? Like you'll judge it differently than you do others for sure. I think you'll have like nostalgia for it that like you won't have for the others. I think that's definitely true. Like if I think back about Decade, which was my first show, like there were big swaths of that show since it was a kind of like reunion, not reunion, a recap show of like all the Kamen Riders that happened so far, and I hadn't watched any of them. There were big parts of that show that I just didn't really understand, but like it was this whole new world that had opened up to me of just like, holy crap, Japan has just live action superheroes on TV. This is insane. Like that show has like a really special place in my heart because of that. But yeah, I think that Geets is just radically different than X8, like on the X8 comparison. Like X8 is really exciting, up to where we are so far. I can't speak past that, obviously, but like X8 is like there's like so much going on. There's colors everywhere. It's like Kamen Rider like ADHD basically. There's just so much happening. And Geets, especially the end here. Like it it went off on this weird meandering path in the back quarter of it basically, where like it didn't really know what it was doing and nothing had a chance to breathe. Like there was much that happened at the very end. Like, Daiichi came back and he was like going to take over the world and he was this weird crazy poison guy, and then that ended, and then Keiwa was evil and then that ended, and like there
And
was
then there
just
was
so
random
many.
fancy VIPs who came just for one episode from the end to send them home the next one.
Exactly. Like there were so many little things that happened that could have been like multiple episode stretches that like were whole, weeks long plot points that they just like introduced and then moved on. Um I feel like a little bit of the end of Geets is kind of a mess. But I think overall for me, I still really loved Geets. I think it's the uh I'll say I'll say best Kamen Rider I've seen. It's it's definitely up there. It's high on the list, I think, overall. I think the characters are amazing. Like I really um like the characters and sort of the arcs that they went on, I think were really unpredictable. Like the people that I started out hating and being annoyed by, I ended up loving. Like when the show first started, like Keiwa was annoying as hell, and then he became very endearing. Buffa was like borderline annoying in his like insistence on all Kamen Riders will die type of thing. But then at the end, he's maybe my favorite character in the whole show. Um,
He's the
I
most human, I think. Like actual
Yeah,
like human. If we're comparing it to like someone you meet in real life, like I feel like Kayla is just a little too extra. I
for
like I
sure.
guess they all kind of are. But like Buffa just has like a normal morality thing of like I hate this thing that I feel like slighted me and took things away from me, and then grew to love the thing that slighted him and took things away from him, and learned how to grow in love along the way. And
Exactly. And then, when we first were introduced to Ace, obviously he was like this weird, like, suave guy who's hitting on the girl, and it's like, oh man, this is gonna be a long season with this guy. I don't know if this is gonna last, but he uh obviously ends up being awesome, and like watching them all become friends and stuff was amazing along the way. Um the twists and turns, like I said, this is a show that was just completely week to week. You would have no idea what the cliffhanger was going to be and how it was going to get resolved. Like everything was just like, maybe you could get the overarching plot, but like the week to week stuff was just mind blowing every single time, which is crazy. And I feel like that's not an X8. Like X8 has some cliffhangers, but most of them are like semi predictable, at least so far, it seems like. And there's nothing that's like really just breaking my brain like X8 was doing. So yeah, I think overall it was really good, but definitely like where we've been at for the past, 10 episodes or so with Geets is the worst part of it, unfortunately. So yeah, comparing it now to X8 and to Black Sun and to whatever else is the worst comparison that you could make, I think, for Geets, unfortunately.
To say it in a less sassy way than I first presented it the first time, I think it's probably like 44 or 45, somewhere in there, when I basically said like the show just needs to end because it seems like they're all over the place with it.
Yep.
Like in the nicer way, I feel like if they would have wrapped it up in like a 45 episode season instead of 50, I think the last points would have been better. And then like instead of having like Daiichi be a 2 or 3 episode thing of like, oh, I'm bad, no, now I'm half good, now I'm good, and the VIP thing is like the VIPs I don't know needed to be there, or just kind of vaguely introduce them for 30-second gaps in the last couple episodes versus make their whole arc be a 1 episode or 2 episode thing. Like I guess the pacing, at least for like the last small section here, I think was way off in my professional comment writing opinion.
Agreed. Yeah. I think, yeah, it would have really benefited from, dropping a few episodes and dropping a few plot lines at the end. Like of the various angles that you tried to take, pick one of them and flesh that one out, and then that's like our ending thing. Because it's like in Act 3, they decided to just have like 4 or 5 mini movies that didn't have didn't have 3 acts in them, in any of them. It was like, how about instead of an Act 3, we just have an Act 1 of like 8 different movies? Does that sound good? So yeah, I think that would have been good. But I think overall, 49 episodes, I think that's a fairly small complaint. And I really did love it for most of the show.
And I think my final thing with comparing seasons, the only way I could see myself disliking Geets and probably the show in general, if we would have started with Black Sun and you would have told me this is a Kamen Rider show and I never saw that kind of show again, I'd probably be extra irritated than seeing Geets first and you being like, yo, there's this gory horror movie-ish spin-off version of this too. I think that worked way better in presentation form.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no. If you introduce someone to Kamen Rider as like, check this out, this is Kamen Rider, and then trying to show them a mainline series and be like, this is more Kamen Rider, they'd be like, get out of here. What is this?
Because I think the way it would work is like we either could have watched Black Sun and then Amazons, and that would have been the end of this. Yeah. But luckily, you picked the Power Ranger adjacent vibe for me first, where it worked better.
Exactly. Well, I think that's our thoughts on Geets. Let's jump over to some emails, and we get to hear from an emailer about thoughts on Geets as well. Shade sent
let's hear words from people that aren't us.
Words from people that aren't us. Shade sent in some emails about Geets ending. The first up was Shade sent along some awesome pictures, which I will throw in the video version of the podcast here throughout. But it's kind of a tradition, I guess, to give flowers at the end of your acting role when it's over. So there's pictures of everybody's got their flowers and they're all hanging out posing together. And it's all very cute. They all look like friends. And well, I was looking at these pictures and it made me weirdly emotional about this show ending because one, I loved it a lot. It was very good. I'm sad to see it go. And I have the like weird trepidation of going into a new Kamen Rider of like, man, I hope I like this one. I hope this one's good. But also at the same time, like it was so much fun doing this show with you and talking about Geets with you that it's sad. It's sad it's ending. I know we're continuing on with the next season and stuff, but like it was a little bit like, no, this, like this was so much fun. I was reflecting on the awesome time that we've had with doing this. But
I was gonna make a joke and say I was quitting after this episode.
that'd be fitting. Yeah.
A new season, new cast.
Exactly.
And you are the Kamen Rider, so you're always there.
Yeah, a new cast is just me and then like my hand in a sock talking in a slightly different voice.
Train one of those AIs. They'll chat you up real good.
Oh, Barack Obama's joining the cast of the Kamen Riders. Crazy. It's weird. I didn't know he watched Kamen Rider. This is wild. Shit also sends in some images of Geets, like the first images we saw of Geets. So we're now getting those same images for Gotchard, so it's very exciting. And then Shade sends in his thoughts on Geets as a whole. So we can dive in, see if we agree or not here. Shade says, "Wow, Kamen Rider Geats, what an amazing show. I had some high expectations for the series because of the writer's previous work, especially X-Aid. And the series, X-Aid, the series you guys are going through right now. Now that the show's over, I can say that it definitely blew my expectations away. Geats is certainly one of, if not the best writer show in recent years. You guys really chose the best series to start the podcast with. So it's all downhill from here, Toby."
Yeah, that also doesn't sound good. I don't know.
Maybe this is just a continual ramp up that they're doing right now. Shade says the series characters are all very memorable. The cast performances were all fantastic. The Geets cast might be one of my favorite writer casts ever. I cannot imagine anyone else playing these characters but them. I hope they'll have a successful career after this. Buffa's actor already has another ongoing high school drama show already, so that's great. The action was the highlight of the series, as Ace would say. Geets' action and stunts and effects have been one of the most creative in the franchise. Every fight was gripping and entertaining with lots of rewatchability. The effects, in my opinion, have been better as well. They still aren't Hollywood level effects or anything, but they sure are getting better. Props to the VFX department this year. With this and King Oger, they sure are putting in a lot of work. And I will say, the effects at the beginning of Geets versus the effects at the end of Geets are night and day.
Yeah.
So
once the toy sale money started coming in, they roll it back into the show.
I appreciate that they reinvest. Yes. Shade says the story was so crazy and out of this world. It had so many twists and turns that at no point was it predictable where the series was going. This is why I really click with Yuya Takahashi's writing style. He rehashes certain ideas sometimes, like Game Master or Navigator in X-Aid and etc. And it becomes a little more obvious when you've seen all of X-Aid, 01, and Geets, but each series always has something to say and it never ceases to wow me. Another element that I love are the designs and toys. That this is undeniably some of the best designs in recent times. There are a lot of complaints from fans about how modern rider designs are too flashy or the belts are too loud. So they listened to those complaints when designing the series. All the suits were sleek and simple with their own flair. The drivers and buckles were simple and beautiful. What's even better is that the driver's voice is very simple. Just set, buckle name, and ready, fight. Very cool and quotable. The series driver and rider designs also basically design is also basically a build your own rider blueprint. All the DGP riders are all the same suit with different masks. The armors are all modular and can be designed easily by fans. The driver itself is blank and plain. When a buckle is inserted, it changes how the driver looks entirely. Gosh, I can gush about Geets' design for hours. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, like, even comparing like the Geets driver to the Gotchard stuff so far, like exactly like you said, like you plug a buckle into the Geets driver and you can't see the driver anymore. It's just all buckle on display, which is very cool because then the buckles are the thing that change the look and they're the thing where all the showcase is. With Gotchard, that doesn't seem like it's going to be the case because it's just like the driver's the driver and you plug cards in and then you can barely see them. Like all the thing the cards are doing is changing the colors, changing the voices, and then like you can kind of see through it to see like the back of the card, which forms the face of Gotchard. But like that's a far cry from the customization that the Geets driver has when you put a buckle in. So, yeah, that's a huge difference I think between those two. So,
Well, I guess that's more like what we're used to from X-Aid then, where the games go in the slot and you just never see the game again. Like same
100%. Yeah, totally same vibe. Like the driver is the driver. You see it the whole time. The games go in, you can't see him anymore. Like even if they're like the crazy double game, like we're seeing lately in X8, it's like it still just kind of slots in, and then that's it. that seems like what Gotchard's going to be. Maybe they surprise me and there's like some secret way to like, attach things on the front or on top or something. But like, yeah, it seems like it's just cards in the buckle and then it just goes. But yeah, I totally agree. Like, especially looking at the first image of Geets as it was kind of first previewed, and it's just like that's a clean looking design, like the white on top and the boost red legs on the bottom. Just looks like a superhero, like a like space superhero essentially. Very very cool, especially when you look at like some of the really busy designs that we'd had before. That's a really elegant, simple look. I think that looks really cool. Shane says, that being said, as the series was, it's not, that being said, as good as the series was, it's not flawless either. The most glaring problem would be the final arc. It had many cool things, just like we said. It had many cool things going on, like Keiwa going dark, the bad end, Daiichi Gardner, Dadfire, and Kekara and Baroba's finale, for now, etc. But that was also part of the problem. They had so many ideas and plot points, but not enough time to execute them properly. All these could easily have carried the series for 10 or 15 more episodes, and I would have watched them all. In fact, the series itself moved at a very fast pace sometimes, even before the final arc. Like I've said, there were plot points that could have carried the show for 5 or 6 more episodes that were resolved in 2 or 3. But hey, those felt more like writing decisions, so I'm not too bothered. Besides all that, the show also has some moments of character inconsistency. Namely, Keiwa and the whole goddess thing. That felt weird even with the Dark Keiwa explanation. Daiichi, not sure if that was the appropriate direction for the character. But he played an okay role in the end. Nero I had small issues with, but he does seem to be a guy who wants to run a proper reality show, fair and square, so I can believe his death. Plus, the Glock was cool. A little disappointed that we didn't get an in-game style army with every DGP player we've known for the ending, but you gotta admit that what we got was pretty fucking sick as well. I don't think they really forgot Ace, though. That would be against Ace's not forgetting thing. It was a little vague on how certain things ended, specifically other than everything is good, but it was an emotionally beautiful ending. With Ace now being a proper deity, not straight up granting people's wishes, but watching over them and blessing them good luck, because every wish they wrote down, they are perfectly capable of obtaining themselves, as long as they keep wishing for it. And then that is until the V Cinema, baby. Now, new Geets post-season movie, Buffa's getting his final form. Woo! It'll be released next year on Blu-ray and DVD, along with Buffa's new Plosion Rage buckle. I think you saw the image of the or you maybe didn't look at it since spoilers and stuff.
I didn't look at it.
Yeah, there's a cool Buffa form that we're getting in the movie. Buffa continues to be the coolest Kamen Rider.
That's funny that like we'll call it Geets' show, but yet Buffa's the one that has things to do coming out of this.
Yeah, well, I think that's not uncommon that like secondary writers get featured sometimes in subsequent media, especially because Geets is God. How much more can you do with God?
You can make him fight the devil. You can make him
That's
fight
right.
other gods.
You can make him play the fiddle.
He's going down to Georgia.
Yeah. And then Shane sends in one more email that says, however, a great question looms over us. Is Kamen Rider Geats better than Squid Games?
No.
Okay. I disagree.
Nor either better than Alice in Borderlands.
Wow,
Borderland.
yeah.
Singular. I apologize, Josh. Borderland.
Borderland. And then our last email for today, Toby, comes in from Charlie from Texas. And this is a trivia game for Toby.
Let's end it on a high note.
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
So this is, as Charlie explains, a trivia game for Toby where he will have to remember some trivia for the entirety of Geets as a celebration for it ending.
So, I'm probably going to lose because I'm going to say this up front. When we were watching X-Aid, the one day Josh told me he was glad that I was like a Wikipedia page for X-Aid because I remember the dumbest shit somehow.
I think you'll get some of these, and I think the ones that you won't get are just very hard. so
it's a setup, okay.
It's a little bit of a setup. Question number 1. Who were the 3 Kamen Riders in the first DGP of the season?
Geets, Buffa,
Yep.
and I don't remember.
Do you remember his costume? What it looked like?
No, because I was gonna say the Owl guy. No, it's not the Owl guy. 'Cause he was the old man. I
Ooh.
don't remember who the third would have been, because I just remember the guy that died that showed KY to not be a baby. I remember
Yeah.
the old guy. I don't remember any other ones.
So the polar bear guy was in the very
Son of a
first one.
bitch. I
The guy
remember.
that died there. Yeah, he was a polar bear. That was a tough one. That was a tough one. You got the other two though. How many forms does Buffa take throughout the season? This includes the combinations of buckles. Which makes that very hard, by the way. Like when he does
Can I just give a number?
just a number, yeah. So like and yeah, combinations of buckles means like if you put on
Like Neon's whatever. While he was...
exactly. So like zombie and the beat buckle is a form, and zombie and the boost buckle would be a form. Like so, yeah. So all that stuff.
Okay, so I'm gonna count on my fingers and say words. I'm gonna give you an answer at the end.
Okay.
Regular Buffa. Buffa with the ninja one, because I feel like he stole KOAs before we figured out they switched them to everyone has their own actual buckle. I'm pretty sure he boosted at some point, so I'm gonna call that normal boost. That's 3. Zombie Buffa with monster, I want to say, is 1, so that's 5. Final form Buffa, that's 6. Buffa with the luck slot machine 1 in the mansion, that's 7.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he ever had... We never would have had aces. I don't think he was ever half Punk Jack. He might have been half monster, so I'll say half monster just in case. That's 8. I'm gonna say 9, like I'm forgetting one, but I think I just named 8.
So I know you're for sure forgetting the like Buffa God form, like when he became like the golden cloak one, that version of him when he gets like super powerful
Okay.
would be your 10. What I don't know for sure in this answer is like when they rotate, is that a different form?
When they do revolve on?
Yeah, does that count as a different form? I don't know.
What number did Charlie give?
So Charlie gives the number 17.
I will accept that as an answer without me knowing, because that seems about right.
It seems about right for like all the different buckle combinations. But yeah, what I'm interested in knowing is if you do the rotate and zombie becomes your legs and whatever else you had becomes your head, is that a different form? I would say that it is, but I'm interested in finding out if that is included here in the number. But yeah, that's a tough one. 17. You definitely remembered some that I wasn't even thinking about. So
Well, that feels good.
Yeah.
At least like got a couple fun extra ones.
Next question is, what is the name of the gun used by the Magnum buckle forms?
Has a gun? Or it has a name?
Apparently it does. I didn't know it had a name.
I don't know.
It's the Magnum Shooter 40X, apparently.
All right. Sure.
I didn't know.
I'll give him a sigh and say sure.
Next question. How many different suit forms can be accessed with the Bison driver? I don't even really know what we're calling a different form now at that point.
I'm 6.
4. I'm going to need Charlie to write in and tell me what 4 those are, though, so I know what we're talking about there. Here's one for you that you might be able to get close on, I think. What episode did KY use the boost buckle for the first time? So obviously the boost buckle has an interesting relationship with KY, where it tries to hit him in the head all the time. But what episode
I feel like
did he get to use it?
I'm going to say 2 or 3, so I'm going to go 3.
It's actually 7. It's a little bit later than that. Because I think early on it was like he was never like he kept getting it taken away from him, right? Like he had it and then like Ace took it, he had it and someone else took it, or Ace took it again, I can't remember. And Like it kept sort of like coming to Keiwa, and then Keiwa never used it. Like that was a running bit for a while.
I remember us laughing about every time that he got it bounced off his head. I thought the first time he used it was in the woods in the beginning, but maybe I'm not remembering when they did the first fight in the woods.
Yeah, I think in the very first like wooden fight, I think he did not use it. That was I think the point where he gave it to Ace for the first time, because Ace gave him like the sob story about it of just like, oh, I'll take it or whatever, I can handle this, and then he foxes him for the first time.
And that's when we start making the stupid jokes.
Yep. Question number 6: what are the names of the 4 supporter riders? So the riders from the future.
Like Gene?
Yeah. So what are Gene's compatriots' names?
Kyun or some bullshit like that for Neon's boyfriend?
Yep, Kyun. Good.
Supporters.
The other 2 you definitely should know.
Does Baroba and Kekra count?
Yeah, Roman Kekker. Yeah.
Okay.
That's an easy one. Nice little easy one mixed in here amongst these horribly hard questions. Number 7: what is the name of the bike that Geets uses while in boost form? I didn't know it had a name.
I didn't know how to name, so
It's the Boost Striker, apparently.
you know what? I feel like they yell that. I feel like that's one of the things that are like.
I'm sure they do. Yeah. I'm sure it's one of the words and colors that pops up when this is happening that just wash over me. This is a fun question. Number 8: how many times did any of Keiwa's family members die?
Parents,
Yep, parents dying.
sister.
Yep, Sarah dying.
I feel like it's not that easy. I guess 2, but that seems too easy.
So you're forgetting the point where they, he gets his wish, he resurrects them all, and then the roving band kills his family again.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
so that's 3. Where it's like everybody's back, they're all dead again. Okay. And then number 9, last question: what is the name of the noodle shop that the cast have gone to on multiple occasions in the series?
Isn't it Tanuki Soba?
It is Tanuki Soba. Well done. Yeah. I feel like you got the ones that you should have gotten, and then the others were just very hard.
I appreciate that. I tried. That's all I can say. I tried.
Thank you, Charlie, for the trivia. Very fun.
Yeah, thanks for embarrassing me on this last day, jerk.
Way to go. All right. Well, I think that's gonna wrap us up here. So yeah, we will be back next time for Kamen Rider Gotchard. Toby, do you have any predictions for Gotchard?
It's a little too early. I feel like. But
based on your one image of that boy that you saw so far.
It's gonna be slapsticky like X-Aid.
Yeah,
so that's gonna make us giggle. After seeing all the cards all the time, I'm gonna feel like I want the cards again, which I feel like I should know better then. And that's all I really have for now. Because like I said, I've literally looked at nothing that anyone has sent us, or news posts or anything else, other than trying to buy the cards, like the cards to buy. And I think I might have accidentally heard the beginning of the theme song, but I turned it off right away because the title of, because we were talking about if we wanted to switch the intro song or not for the podcast.
Yeah.
So someone posted Gotchard theme, like reconstructed or remix or variant version, and it was some random little channel. So I couldn't tell if they just made a very good song for Gotchard, or if it was the actual song from Gotchard that they put like one extra beat to, and it ruined the thing. So that's why I turned it off right away.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'd forgotten about my theme song proposal until last night when I found the file again, and I played it for my wife, and I said, "Hey, like, do you think this would be a good theme song for the podcast?" She listens to it, and she goes, "No." so that's 2 votes against.
So real quick, since I know the show is going on. This is just today's finale, or the season finale, we'll call it. But I saved them the entire time because I was expecting there to be more. Josh, we're gonna run through the fake title names I came up with in the beginning of all this as the closer for today. So the initial joke was Josh and I couldn't figure out the name of the show. Josh said after typing the name of the show so many times, he wasn't sure if he liked it anymore. So in the beginning, for 9 episodes, I came up with horrible puns or jokes that involved Kamen Riders to try to make Josh laugh and try to one up his name. And they were all pretty bad. But that's why a lot of the emails that come in have bad, horrible puns like mine in them and things like that.
Exactly.
So Josh, are you ready?
I'm ready.
In no specific order other than the order that I said them in.
Well, but the inherent ordering is they get worse. So in order of like best to worst, because as you went on, it was so terrible.
I'm gonna hope I don't laugh through the ones I laughed through the first time, because then you'll understand them even less again. All right, so the first one, episode 3, I said we should name it Common Sense.
So simple, so primitive.
Okay. Episode 4, Cure for the Common Cold.
Also an okay one.
Episode 5, Kamen Rider Die.
Yeah, that one wasn't bad either. Okay, yeah, you're okay so far.
Okay, episode 6, a comedy of errors.
And here's where it starts to fall apart, everyone.
Well, especially too, because like when Josh starts the show, he very professionally goes, "Welcome to the comment writers," and I don't talk like that. I slur my words very horribly. So even when I try to say like a comedy of errors, I'm not very good. It sounds like comedy. It doesn't make sense.
A little bit, yeah.
Episode 7, I made some joke and then said, "Josh, calm down. You're the next contestant on the Desire Grand Prix."
This is when it got really bad because you had to set them up then. It wasn't just a pun. It was just like you had to get me to say a certain thing or you had to lead a conversation in a certain way. Yeah.
At one time, I was told this was called, I want to say it was called Tobes logging. Like, you have to give you a prologue to explain the joke or set up the joke.
Yep.
And it was deemed Tobes logging or something along those lines where there's too much buildup for a lot of these.
I think I've told you that before. It's like gotta have a preamble to everything.
Oh, it's Tobes ambling. That's what it was. It was
Yeah.
Tobes amble. The next one was Pokemon Trainers Extraordinaire.
Oh my god. I still don't even understand that one.
I don't know. Pokemon somehow. Episode 9, I said, do you think... I might be changing some of the words for the setups now. Episode 9 was, I think I said, "Josh, do you think Geets' favorite song is Common Over Baby by Chris Neon at Geets Lara?"
Chris Neon Aggies Lara. Yeah, that was where I died.
Episode 10, I asked you the question, since Geets is kind of an outcast, do you think he could write the song KY? That one still makes me laugh.
So dumb. That was so dumb.
And finally, when I retired, because I was trying so hard to come up with horrible puns, and I was like, I'm putting too much effort into failing, I asked you if riders invest in IRAs or a 401k.
Yeah, you ended on a real whimper there.
And then from that point, Charlie picked up and started doing them for me and made it worse.
Yep. I think it pains me to say this, but I do think the Outcast KWA one was the best. Because it's so stupid. Oh, it's so dumb.
That's what I'm here for. This is why you hired me.
Although now Chris Neon Aggies Lara is an extra pun because it has Christ in the beginning.
That's even better.
We didn't even know that at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my like magnum opus of trying to throw names into a name somehow. And like the sad part is I can truly tell you to this day, I have no idea how I thought of that song or her name to even try to turn that into a pun in the first place. Wonderful. So that came out with some like weird well in my mind where it just hit and I was like, this is hilarious. But I couldn't tell you how I even thought of that in the first place.
Love it. I've been thinking recently about Gotchard and like, things about our show and our presentation and stuff for Gotchard. We'll have to make new, thumbnails and stuff like that. So I was kind of thinking through that stuff, and yeah, like it's like songs and stuff like that. And I had just decided, I think last night, that I wanted to bring the puns back. So I'm glad that you bring them up, because I think I want to start naming our episodes about using a pun with Gotchard. And
Okay.
I think our first episode, here's a little preview for everyone. I think our first episode is going to be called "Live Free" or Gotchard. So we're gonna see how long we can keep that going, because I always try to name them like something silly that happens in the episode or something. But I think Gotchard puns is maybe where I'm gonna go from here on out.
Sounds like a plan to me.
So tune in next week, everyone, for "Live Free" or Gotchard, the first episode of our Kamen Rider Gotchard review podcast. Wow, I am gonna have to really practice saying Kamen Rider Gotchard instead of Kamen Rider Geats, because it was so hard right then to not say Geats. A real challenge. Toby, for the last time for Geets, where can people find you on the internet?
On Twitter, it's at Life of Tobes, and on YouTube, it's Tobes Plays or at Tobes Plays, however the tags work on YouTube at this point.
You can find me, wherever the place as Pretty Decent Josh on, Twitter and Threads, and I think Blue Sky and anywhere. Just search for me, you'll find me. And of course, sub on YouTube as well. Search for Pretty Decent. So again, that's going to do it for us for this week. We'll be back next week. All excited. Please join us to check out first episode of this new series. We're going to be here dressed in full regalia. We're very pumped up, and we hope you come too. But until then, have a great week, everybody. Peace.
I'm taking shots at the enemy. I'm gonna make it to the top, leave a legacy. If I got something to say, you better let me speak. Turn it up a new degree, bitch, you ain't seen anything. I pop off with the new rock, electronic, blow the sonic roof up. I'm too honest when I take a few shots. They're too toxic, need to